Yo, what's your Ghost here, and today I'm bringing us all the Warzone 2. Today we're going to be taking a look at the new best class setups after the new update of Season 5. With a lot of changes to weapons, there's going to be a lot of questions on what the next metas are going to be. I got a couple of good inferences on what the next meta is going to be, SMG and AR wise, because a lot of those categories got changed. In the metas, like the Lachmann Sub and Chrono Squall got nerfed. So it's going to be really interesting to see what path we take as the weeks go on in the new season. And with that being said, let's just get right into it. And to start things off, we're going to take a look at the ACR 56, which is a gun that was making a little bit of noise towards the end of Season 4, which prompted it actually getting nerfed in this season. However, nerf that it got was more like a slap on the wrist. It didn't really do much. It's not going to do much, and I expect this weapon moving forward to be one of the top guns in the game, especially for the long-range map Al-Mazrah. In Resurgence, obviously, you can still use it, but I think Resurgence really thrives on weapons that can kill like from medium to close range, that type of engagement, not necessarily long range. But if you want a weapon for the really long ranges, the HCR, in my opinion, is going to be that weapon going forward. If anything, though, like I mentioned all the time, the next meta, in my opinion, is going to probably be found in the LMG, whether it's the route that got buffed, whether it's this weapon, whether it's the Rap H, it doesn't matter. I feel like the next actual long range meta is going to be an LMG. And for me, I'm inferring that it's going to be the HCR just because it already has the attention. It already has kind of like that little wave that it's riding on, and it'll probably blow up at the first couple of weeks of the season, and in a couple of weeks will officially be on a HCR 56 meta. Anyways, moving on to the next weapon. And this one is something I'm very excited to speak on personally because this weapon right here got the buff that I was hoping it was going to get in the Season 5 update. And with the Lachmann Sub getting nerfed once again, although I think the Lachmann Sub is still going to be pretty solid considering how good it was at the end of the season with the new class setup that everyone was rocking, I still think it's going to probably be a force. That doesn't mean that a gun like the Bass P won't be getting some attention. This gun, yet again, got a huge overhaul on buffs like it did a couple seasons ago. And I think now, this time officially, it's time we really look at this weapon and really put it in the conversation. Because with the Lachmann Sub, which was, I guess, technically the meta at the end of the season, getting nerfed once again, and the Bell 46 getting buffed, and even this gun getting buffed, like I think it's time to really explore the option that the Bass P could be the next potential meta moving forward for the SMGs. I already thought it was a top 3 SMG since for actually a really long time. I thought it's a candidate for top 3, and all the buffs that it's been getting over the last couple seasons has just really reinforced that idea. And I'm just really happy and excited to try out this weapon because, man, like I said, I'm a very big fan of this weapon. So for it to get buffed the way it did again in Season 5, I cannot wait to get into the game and use this weapon. And I definitely recommend to you guys, if you're looking for something new, like I said, this is one of those candidates that you should check out day one just to see where it's going to be at because, hey, you don't want to get left behind when the new meta catches on. But regardless, moving on to the next gun. And then we have a returning meta actually with the Tag V. If you guys remember back when the game first came out, the Tag 56 and Tag V were both actually the meta once upon a time. And finally, we're going to see the return of the Tag V coming into the season, especially for Resurgence, because this weapon for long range is going to be a little bit tough. So trying to use this on like Al-Mazrah is going to be, a little tough just because of the recoil control. But with the Chrono Squall being meta for like most of the Season 4, or if not, I think the second half of Season 4, I see the Tag B, another battle rifle, going to be taking the place of the Chrono Squall for a little bit. This gun might end up getting nerfed in the mid-season update eventually because this gun is obviously really strong. In Resurgence, I think it's going to really read just because it thrives off that close to mid-range engagement. And this weapon, the way it kills fast, is going to thrive in that environment. And I know a lot of people right now are using it in Resurgence, so, just be very careful because this weapon, man, this thing could easily catch on and go absolutely crazy. Like, I think this is going to be the first time where we're really going to have two different metas roaming around the different maps. So Al-Mazrah might be like an HER meta, whereas ashika and Vondel is going to be like a Tag V meta, which would be really interesting to have that dynamic where we have two different metas for different maps. It'd be really interesting to see, and hopefully that happens because that would just be able to spice up the gameplay experience for everybody. And I guess we just have to wait and see as the season go on. Anyways, on to the next weapon. Now, I didn't want to leave out the Lachmann Sub from this list just because I don't see this weapon necessarily falling off just yet. This weapon is like a damn cockroach. It gets nerfed every other update, and yet it finds its way back into the meta. I thought it wasn't that great last season, especially after like the nerf it got, I think, in the mid-season update, and I stopped using it. And then I found this class setup, which everyone's been rocking. This is the probably the best Lachmann Sub class setup that you guys. If you're not using it, you're at a disadvantage because it's ridiculous. The hip fire is what makes this gun so good, and I don't think they actually nerfed that. So I'm curious to see how this gun's gonna play out. I'm putting this just in case because like I just don't feel confident in saying that the Lachmann Sub won't be considered the top gun yet again, because everyone seems to flock back to it every time. So it's gonna be quite interesting to see the dynamic this weapon is gonna be put in, because I just don't see it going away just yet. I think for the first couple weeks it'd probably still be, around in the conversation, and then eventually it might fall out because, like I said, the Veil, the Bass, even the ISO might come into play, and this weapon might finally taking out the meta. We're gonna have to wait and see. But again, until I get proven otherwise, I'm putting this in the list just because I know this weapon's not gonna go away right away. So hey, we're gonna have to give it some time. And here we have one of the weapons that I'm also very excited to see move up in this next season. This gun ended up getting buffed in season 5, which is actually incredible because, like I said before, this gun, along with the Baz and even the ISO, have the potential to take over the meta because of the Lachmann Sub getting nerfed. Now, again, like I mentioned, the Lachmann Sub getting nerfed doesn't necessarily mean anything just yet. We're going to have to wait and see. But guns like the Bell and Baz getting nerfed is definitely a good sign to see that we're going to be getting some sort of meta shit moving forward. I don't know if the Vel's going to be the number one SMG yet. I know this gun's been getting kind of inconsistent attention here and there, where like sometimes, or actually for a brief amount of time, people were running this as the main SMG. But it was kind of back and forth with the Lachmann Sub, and I haven't seen it for a while now. But it's still been a pretty solid, underrated weapon at this point because no one really uses it like that no more. But it's still really, really good. To see it get buffed, a lot of people are going to be paying attention to this weapon, and I'm curious to see how this gun develops moving forward. Just like all the other weapons, like it's just going to be an interesting time moving forward with all these weapons because I think they did enough to spice it all up. And now for the first couple of weeks, we're going to be trying to really find down and lock down that meta. And I think right now there's going to be a lot of candidates to see moving forward, especially in the secondary class. In the secondary class, like man, that's a lot of guns. Like the Camaro got buffed too. This gun, obviously, like there's just so much things that are gonna happen with the secondaries that it's gonna be very interesting to see what ends up on top after all of it is said and done. But anyways, moving on to the honorable mentions. And this is the last gun that we're going to take a look at, the last or the one and only honorable mention. I have other candidates in mind that I might briefly mention, but this one right here, this one was a gun that was making a lot of noise in towards like the really like late season 4. This gun started to get a lot more attention. A lot more people start flocking over back to it, and in the update it didn't get nerfed nor buffed, so it's where it's at right now with a lot of some of the competition getting nerfed. I think that this weapon yet again might see some resurgence in this next season. I don't know if it'll be meta again. Like I said, I think the ACR 56 and I think Tag V and even something else could probably just keep this weapon kind of like right on the cusp of taking over, but not necessarily being able to make that jump. But this gun is going to be a very reliable option. For me, at least in my opinion, I think it's gonna be a pretty reliable option. Unless they like in season or the reloaded update, they end up nerfing it again and completely just taking it out the conversation, which would suck. But we'll have to wait and see. Now I will say another one that I wanted to briefly speak on is the M13B. That one got slightly buffed, and I already have a lot of good things to say about that weapon. I think M13B could be something we might have to discuss at a later time. I did make a video on it a couple days ago, so just use that class setup and run with it to see how it feels in the season. And regardless, man, with that being said, thank you guys for watching. Hopefully this helped you guys try to navigate this new season of madness. I can't wait to see what the meta is in like 1 or 2 weeks. I think it's gonna be very interesting. As always, if you didn't give it, hit that like button. Just let them out. Peace.